right, we'd like to call this meeting of the West Dallas West Milwaukee School District to order, please. May we please rise for the pledge. Mr. Keller, could you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. All right, could we please do roll?
Yes. Ms. Klug, here. Mr. Sikich.
Present.
Mr. Keller.
Here.
Mrs. Justum should be arriving shortly. Mr. Ustruck, also running a little late. Mr. Schultz.
Present.
Mr. Lee.
Here.
Mr. Bailey.
Present.
And President Emmons.
Here. Proper notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Do we have any additions or modifications to tonight's agenda?
I have nothing.
All right, I will go on to item number 6, our public comments. And looking in the back for, all right, we'll move on to item 7, our superintendent's report.
Great, thank you. So 7.1 this evening is first, and we're very happy to be doing this, a proclamation of gratitude for a distinguished donor, GE Healthcare, and our board president has a proclamation she'll read, and then we're going to welcome some folks and thank them personally for the help they've given in 2 of our schools.
So good evening. It's my privilege this evening to welcome the people that were involved with our GE Community Healthcare Project, particularly representatives from that company. But first, we'd just like to have a moment of sharing about this very special day. So, if I could just ask for the communications director, Kelly Sanders, to come forward, and Wayne Stephan, who is the project manager, and Holly Mancusi, she also is the project manager, to step forward. And then we would ask our board president.
Sure. All right, we'll try that again. All right. So the proclamation for GE Healthcare Distinguished Donor to the West Dallas West Milwaukee School District. Whereas GE Healthcare is a leading global medical technology and life sciences company providing a broad portfolio of products, solutions, and services used in the diagnosis, treatment, and monitoring of patients and in the development of manufacture of biopharmaceuticals. And whereas GE Healthcare embraces a culture of respect, transparency, integrity, and diversity by contributing toward building strong communities and a healthy world. And whereas, on August 21st, 2019, GE Healthcare held its 25th Annual Community Service Day in Greater Milwaukee, with over 2,000 employees volunteering to create welcoming and inspiring learning environments at local schools. And whereas, on that day, GE Healthcare volunteers completed a vast array of projects at Irving Elementary School and James E. Dotke High School that are deeply valued and of great benefit to the West Allis West Milwaukee School District. And whereas, in addition to improving these schools, GE Healthcare contributed to a new playground at Irving Elementary School that will touch the lives of thousands of children and have a positive impact on our families and community. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the Board of Education of the School District of the West Allis West Milwaukee et al., honor GE Healthcare as a distinguished donor, notable for this contribution to our district and for its compassion for our children and their needs, and that this expression of our warm appreciation and thankfulness be formally recorded and presented. Be it further resolved that a copy of this testimonial be formally recorded in the official minutes of the Board of Education of the School District of West Allis West Milwaukee et al., and signed by present officers and members of the Board of Education on September 9, 2019. Thank you all very much.
I also wanted to bring up the other distinguished guests from our building, Stan Bartz, who provided endless hours of support for this program, Chris Scotch, principal of Irving, and Greg Galtz, principal of Dotke, along with Alex Bruzan. This team helped prepare the way for GE in such a positive manner. We received lots of compliments from this organization, so our appreciation goes both ways.
The school team was amazing, both schools, honestly.
Thank you, Kelly.
Awesome. All right, so we'll move on to 7.2, which is going to be our showcase for this evening. This is going to be interactive, and so I'm going to turn it over. Who's coming first? All right. You could start over there, so you're on a microphone, just to kind of get us set up.
Thank you again for inviting me to come and share the West Allis West Milwaukee Curiosity Camp, which took place at West Milwaukee Intermediate School this summer. I have a couple of friends with me who are going to help you experience what the children had the capacity to experience. But let me just say very quickly that this camp was a product of many different entities coming together. So we had, of course, the district support. Beth Kaler really was a huge help with pulling ideas together. We had UWM's Science House, Dr. Blecking, loaned us some materials for one of our stations. Millipore Sigma, which is a chemical distribution company here in the city, came and dropped their huge semi-cube onto our property, and the kids were able to step into the cube to experience some of the rotations that we have brought to you today. And finally, of course, all the staff at West Milwaukee, a few teachers stepped up to help on this project. And of course, Tom Blair worked with Steve Harris at Pershing and quite a few other staff and colleagues across the district. Ultimately, there were about 200 children who participated in this camp over 2 days. They were half-day sessions, so essentially there were children from the summer schools at all the intermediate schools. Oh, Shelley Strasser, I apologize. I knew there was one more I wasn't remembering. Shelley helped arrange transportation for the rec department children from both the Horace Mann and the Hale camps. And then we also had children from the 3 intermediate schools, summer schools, come and join us. So anyway, we do have a short slideshow. I think I pretty much said almost everything that's on it. But we may want to project it for just a moment so that I can go through the rotations that you'll be experiencing. And I'm not really sure how to get that up on the screen. So while we're waiting for that, though, I would like to introduce, we have one of our students who participated in the camp. Mr. Andrew Moldrum is going to help us explain one of the rotations. And we also have Jen Kemka, who was one of the teachers who helped facilitate the camp over the summer. So maybe I'll move over to the table and just able to use scientific tools and processes to identify contaminants in water. We don't have that available. They also use Little Bits, which is, some of you may be familiar with Little Bits. They are a little tech tool where you can construct a robot to solve a problem. The virtual reality of trip through the human body. We have the virtual reality goggles that, thanks so much that the district now has some for each of the schools. Can't wait to get our hands on those in the buildings. You'll have a chance to experience those in a rotation. The topic is going to be a little bit different, but you'll get the full effect. And then they were able to observe and classify pure elements in their natural state. And then finally, we really wanted to embed sort of a communication piece, thinking about project-based learning and thinking about how we really hope our children are proficient at communicating what they've learned. So one of the rotations in the camp was to put together a slideshow of questions they had, aha moments, what they learned, and ultimately what they would like to do next year when we do this camp. So those are the things that you'll experience over here. There will be 4 rotations. Have we piqued your curiosity? So in order for you to experience the camp directly, we've developed these 4 stations. Is it okay if we do 3 minutes a station, or do we need to tighten it up? Think that's okay? Okay. And incidentally, anybody in the room is welcome to sit at one of the 4 tables. So the first station, where Mr. Moldrum is sitting, is the virtual reality experience, and you will be able to kind of dig into those new VR goggles that we now have at our disposal. Station number 2, microbes in water. There is, over there you'll see 2 of the microscopes that I borrowed from West Milwaukee. They're incredible microscopes, incidentally. And you'll have to guess where I got the sample. Station number 3, the pure element observation. That's going to be maybe a little bit more self-guided. That the whole set there, in fact, we had 2 sets among other resources that were donated by Science House, or I guess lent to us through Dr. Anya Blecking at UWM Science House. So that's what you will experience at station number 3. Station number 4, Jen Kemka will walk you through the process of putting together that, kind of get the word out slideshow that the kids put together. So do you have any questions right now?
One person per station, or how?
Boy, that is a good question. Why don't we do two per station, and then anybody else who would like to jump in and join a station, you certainly are welcome to do so. So I'm just going to get my computer up with the timer on there, and once you sit down, I'll start the timer. Is 3 minutes good? Okay, we'll do 3-minute rotations. And it's up to you where you want to start first. I won't micromanage.
One more of us then. Spots. Okay.
So, yeah,
I'll wait. I'll go last.
well, either way, it's gonna have to be 3 at a time.
Yeah. Oh, I suppose.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if you do not. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Thought everybody stuck past me. Yeah, one station's gonna have to have 3. All right.
Okay, I'm going to start the timer, so we will have 3 minutes. When you hear the timer go off, it indicates that we
we're playing with science equipment, Phil?
So what I'm gonna do here is not to the cover slides, just to see, when you have a little more depth. There will be more stuff to see around. Are they all the same, or are they So the curiosity, the whole focus of it this year was all about LI. For the microscope investigation.
You do the national.
Existing ecosystem and what the capacity so that's essentially what.
Take it home.
So they were reflecting on that.
Yourself or like right. So they must, yeah, how can they sense it? They must have like. Yeah. Very cool. Did you?
Yeah. This looks cool. I've never seen these things. I want to check this out.
You can go to any school and play with them when you want to.
Okay. So go ahead and wrap up your conversation.
That water every year. They don't do it anymore. They used to do it.
And if you, or when you head back to your seats,
Modern Army.
have just a little bit more to wrap up here and
They would demonstrate a field truck that they have. They can take that water, make it drink. And they would throw hose, scoop the water up, faucet.
Making that pair.
Thank you very much. That was very, very cool.
I can put that up at work. You never know when you might need it.
That's right.
Oh, that's the chart.
So, oh, whoa. Excuse me. So as you settle back in, you will find a folder. These folders were provided by Millipore Sigma, and every child who participated in Curiosity Camp received this folder. You'll notice a pencil in there, and a periodic table of the elements is laminated as well. That was used throughout the camp. There's also an explanation primarily of what the Millipore Sigma provided for the camp. I mean, they really were the catalyst for pulling it all together.
oh, hi.
So this slide, I just wanted to wrap up by reflecting on some of our initiatives as a district. And just for a moment, think about what you experienced at the stations and which deeper learning competencies do you feel that were hit, through these rotations, through the camp experience?
I was just thinking the same. I think it's everything.
I think you hit all of them.
I was hoping you'd say that. Absolutely.
And there was no prompting.
No.
Oh, you didn't see the Post-it in there? Yes, absolutely. This was a rich experience for everybody involved, adults, children, and it really did dig deeply into these deeper learning competencies. While it was a summer camp, it was still very, very rich in content, communication. I mean, the kids really had to talk to children that they didn't know. They worked with adults they never had met before. Millipore Sigma provided quite a few volunteers over the course of the 2 days. The children treated them very collegially, that's a word. And, oh my gosh, self-direction, it was interesting. They wanted to move to the next station. They wanted to go to the next experience. And all of those really lead to that academic mindset that we're hoping to develop and build in our children for, lifelong learning and having a fervor, for learning. With that said,
Yeah.
did you?
I just wanted to say thank you to Jenny Statza and the whole team that worked so hard to bring, it was actually Jen's idea that started bringing in the, applying for the grant and making sure that the Curiosity Cube was we were a district that was chosen to have the cube because it's all over the area, and so she did a lot of work in the prep work in order to get ready to have it and bring that opportunity to our learners here in West Allis, West Milwaukee. So I just wanted to thank her and the rest of the teachers who were involved in that because it was some legwork on their end to make sure that our students had that experience this summer.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Deidre. And thank you for your support. I mean, honestly, everybody who supported this, I couldn't have done it myself. And that's really why I wanted to just share this final slide, highlighting again all of the entities that were involved in making this happen. I've talked to Deidre already and other people in the district about carrying this forward and doing it again next year and hoping to cast the net even a little bit wider for children who maybe didn't have the experience or I guess the opportunity to do it this year. So we'll see where this goes. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone.
Good work.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, nicely done. So we'll go on to 7.3, the legislative update. So there's a transportation contract bill. State Senator Howard Markline and Todd Novak are circulating a bill draft for other legislators to sign on and support relating to contracts with parents to transport students to private and sometimes public schools. The bill would require the contract must compensate the parent or guardian a total amount for all pupils residing in the household who attend the same school rather than a per pupil amount as it does now. This change will potentially save districts money when multiple children in the same household are being transported to the same school in the same vehicle. If passed, this bill could represent an estimated savings to our district of between $10,000 and $50,000 per year, depending on how many students are participating. Then the Blue Ribbon Commission bill. So the Blue Ribbon Commission was wrapped up about 9 months ago. It was on school funding. And had a number of recommendations. And as a result, there are some bills now moving through legislation that would impact our district. So general aid payment schedule. A draft bill circulated by Luther Olson and Rob Hutton would modify the disbursement schedule for general equalization aid so that school districts would receive 4 equal payments of 25% in September, December, March, and June by the 23-24 school year. Currently, school districts receive their state aid in 4 quarterly payments, but they're 15% in September, 25% in December and March, and then 35% in June. Under this proposal, in each of the next 5 years, the September payment would increase by 2 percentage points, and the June payment would decrease by 2 percentage points until all 4 of the quarterly payments are equal. So this bill could provide more funding earlier in the year, which would decrease the need for us to short-term borrow. We also sometimes refer to it as cash flow borrowing. And our reserves are lowest in January, so this would provide more funding in the first half of the year than the current aid disbursement schedule. And then county pupils enrolled in 4-year-old kindergarten, or 4K. This is a draft bill circulated by Luther Olson, Joel Kitchens. It would allow 4-year-old kindergarten 4K programs that require full-day attendance by pupils for 5 days a week to be able to count these pupils as a whole on one pupil or 1.0 FTE for state aid and revenue limit purposes. Under current law, districts may choose to operate a 4K program, which we do, but are not required to do so. For those that do opt to offer a 4K program, 4K pupils are counted in the equalization aid and revenue limit calculations as a 0.5 FTE. If the child attends for at least 437 hours or 0.6 if the program provides at least 87.5 additional hours of outreach activities. Even if the pupil participates in a full-day 4K program 5 days a week. So this gets confusing often for the public. So we have a whole kid who's here for a whole day and 5 days a week, but depending, they're either counted as a half a kid under the revenue limit calculations or as a 0.6 kid. They're not counted as a whole kid. So I think it's been an odd thing. I think that's partly because districts aren't required to implement it, but this change would definitely be helpful for us. So the bill could provide additional revenue to our district. However, as long as our enrollment is declining, and we are receiving the declining enrollment exemption, the additional revenue wouldn't be realized to its full extent until enrollment stabilizes. If this bill is passed right now, it would equate to about $60,000 in additional annual revenue. If we did not have the declining enrollment exemption, it would equate to about $600,000 in additional revenue. And then 7.4, district recognitions. At Irving Elementary School on Thursday, September 4th, 2019, there was a ribbon-cutting ceremony celebrating the new tot lot at Irving Elementary. Representatives from GE Healthcare, Irving PTA, BCI Burke Company, and Vince Vitale were honored for their contribution to the project. At Walker Elementary School, over the summer, several Walker teachers completed the Apple Teacher Program. Congratulations to Patrick Collins, Jennifer Streeter, Jennifer Siskowski, nope, that's not right. Siskiewicz, thank you. Heather Kinzel, Amanda Barber, Jane Robinson, Patty Kurtz, Morgan Noster, Leanne Gleason, Amy Ziegler, and Katie Hart. The Apple Teacher Program is free and designed to assist educators new or experienced with iPad and Mac innovative learning experiences. At Wilson Elementary, Lisa Erickson participated in the 2019 Forward Exam Item Review for the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. She was commended for her work by the State Office of Student Assessment. At Shared Journeys, Aurora West Allis and Shared Journeys teamed together to write a grant to the United Way for $3,620. It was awarded to Shared Journeys to promote healthy lifestyle choices. At James E. Dotke, dedicated staff members at Dotke gave up their last day of summer vacation to volunteer for GE Community Service Day. All but two were there. Student Services and Human Resources. In August, Jeff Worland and Aaron Norris set up a 4-hour training with First Student Bus Company. Bus drivers were brought in to review routes and expectations. Special thanks to Heather Justin for her help in setting this up. Also thanks to Human Resources Manager Janet Delacat. She provided safe schools training to our transportation partners. Drivers learned about our expectations for student behavior, mandatory child abuse reporting, and mandatory reporting of threats of school violence. So that was a new step this year, and we think a really proactive step, especially working with bus drivers who don't actually work directly for us. And then in Leadership for Learning, we want to thank our restorative practices trainers, Kelly Lynch, Andrea Arzuski, Dave Stanley, Greg Gels, Matt Napoli, Haley Schwint, Alyssa Johnson, Liz Gold, Sadie Boss, and Jen Kemka, who spent time during Back-to-School Teacher Week training the staffs at Central, Hale, FLW Lane, West Milwaukee, Irving, and Jefferson. We also want to thank Aaron Norris, who did a refresher course in restorative practices at Walker and Matterson. These trainers are doing a great job for us. And then in 7.5, just a couple quick updates from me. First, there were no public comments August 26th. There was nothing to follow up there. We've had a really smooth start to the school year. We've had a few, right, come on, knock some wood, that's smart. A few minor bus problems, partly just, the beginning of a school year, and partly, the challenges of finding drivers is a big portion of it. But I think overall it's been the smoothest since I've been here. In the last week, I visited all the schools, so I've spent some good time in each and every building and walked with a whole bunch of principals and visited lots of teachers and kids. I got a lot of, who are you? I got a lot of, are you the president? So, especially from the little ones. And with this, I launched a new Twitter feed, so I'm brand new to Twitter, and launched at WAWm Soup, superintendent at WAWm SUP. And slowly building the following. So we send it out to principals, so the principals could be curious about the little videos I was creating either before or after each school visit. And then I linked it in my Sunday Thoughts, which is a message that goes out to all staff, so that I've picked up My phone was buzzing quite a bit yesterday, which is kind of fun. And I'll be out in the school tomorrow and do another little update. So as I'm engaged in schools and with staff, that's kind of my intent. And then use it also to communicate, all the good things that are going on in our school district. We have the community building workshop. That's going to be a community building workshop on equity that's scheduled for October 2, 3, and 4. And so the final letters are getting ready to go out about that. I want to thank the board for meetings during the summer. So for anybody that's listening, I scheduled one-on-one meetings just to sit down with board members and talk about the work. And these were either lunch or dinner or in the office. But the big themes that really emerged in terms of the work that the board would really like to see us focus on in the coming years, one is updating and refreshing our strategic plan. And I think, we've come a long way in the current plan, and I think we're in a different space. So I think revisiting goals and strategies for the next 5 years makes a whole bunch of sense to me. A number of you talked about getting a plan and moving forward with addressing long-term costs. So what are some of the long-term structural costs that, it may be a plan that we don't see the benefits of for 20 years, but I think we're in a moment where we recognize that it's probably our responsibility to start to address them. And then almost every one of you talked about the need to really move forward with a facilities plan. And so that is work we'll dip into a little bit tonight to set some foundation of where we currently are. And I started working on, pardon me?
No pun intended.
Right, right, setting a foundation. Okay, I got it. Thank you. We're setting a foundation in the facility planning. And then today I started working on what will turn into the kind of community engagement process around how do we address ongoing facility needs. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Great, thank you very much. I did start following you on Twitter. I've not watched any of the videos yet, but it'll be one of the things I do in the next couple of days. So looking forward to seeing all of those. All right, so we move on to the board president's report, taking a look at the board calendar. So tonight is September 9th. We have regular Board of Education meeting. Immediately following, we have 2 workshops, one on facility updates and the next on the 2019-2020 school board meeting schedule. On September 16th, starting at 6 p.m., we have our public budget hearing, which will be televised. That will start at 6 o'clock here in this room. On Monday, September 23rd, starting at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting. Do any board members have any community items to update? All right, I just want to say a quick thank you to the PTA Council who have put together a really nice Google Calendar of all the dine-out nights that are going on across the district and have been sharing that across multiple social media platforms and other places. So if you haven't seen that yet, one of the avenues to please find that. But just about every night coming up, there's one tonight, there's one tomorrow, there's one pretty much everywhere. But thank you to Council for putting that out there and getting the word out to help support all of our schools in all these little ways. They really do add up. Okay, so we will then go on to the consent agenda. I've got 3 items this evening. Item 9.1, the approval of minutes from the August 26, 2019 regular Board of Education meeting. Item 9.2, the employment summary. And item 9.3, the supplementary contract. Does anyone need anything separated?
Move to approve.
Second. All right, we've been moved, improved, and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. All right, we'll move on to our action items for this evening. Item 10.1, the high school choir field trip to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in spring of 2020. Mr. Beeksma.
Yep, I see Zach coming on up. So
Hi. I was just trying to make stuff sound better, but we'll see. So you have before you an itinerary from Music Travel Consultants about a trip to Philadelphia for the Nathan Hale High School choirs. It involves Philadelphia and Princeton, New Jersey, and we would be working with a composer in Philadelphia to do a world premiere and a quartet of professional singers that work for him, and then doing a master class with James Jordan at Westminster Choir College, who's one of the premier choral educators in the world, and seeing the the mic came on. Seeing the Philadelphia Orchestra do Beethoven 9 with the Westminster Symphonic Choir. You are absolutely welcome to come as a chaperone.
Is that
The
over
payment
spring break?
schedule's on the back.
Zach, is that over spring break as well?
This is before
Right,
spring
the
break.
week before
right
spring
before
break?
spring break.
Questions or comments?
Move to approve 10.1. Second.
We've got moved and seconded. Any additional comments or questions? We're always just too excited to approve trips to our kids, so. Right, we moved and seconded. No additional comments or questions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, congratulations. Enjoy your trip.
Thank you. We're doing it for your kids.
All right, so we will take a quick 5-minute break while we get ready for a workshop. So we are at recess.